think of your big goal and then try to walk backwards from that, work backwards and see what does it need. 2 years later, and it has so many views, so many comments, so many hate comments. A lot of people think that in order to make it on YouTube, though, the thing you need to do is go viral.
My guest today is Noor Hanania. She's a young creative from Jordan that started by studying design but ended up following filmmaking. At only 19 years old, she was able to film her first award-winning short film, and now she's working on the second one. We talk about her YouTube channel with almost 5,000 subscribers and how getting viral sometimes may be bad for you. We had a very interesting conversation about how to get the most out of the people that inspire you, and how to reach your goals, even if those seem unrealistic at the time. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Distance to Destination Show, a podcast where I invite talented people to sit down with me and talk about their dreams, goals, and struggles. Today I have with me Noor. Hey Noor.
Hi.
What's up?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you for being my guest. And you're also the first guest being abroad. We're doing this from a distance. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but yeah, you're like an experiment.
Yeah, happy to be your first abroad guest.
Awesome. Let us know a little bit about you.
I'm a YouTuber. I've been for a really long time, since 2011, but I've done so many different stuff, had so many different channels that I never had a one focused audience. Only 2 years ago that I started to focus on one style of content, and I'm really becoming serious about this. And right now I am studying in Germany. It's like a 1-semester exchange program. And I'm studying film. I'm hoping to create films, write stories, etc. And yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. I didn't know that you had a lot of YouTube channels.
I did actually. At some point I had a channel where I talked about dogs and training dogs, and I did so many different things. It's it's been a long journey.
Okay. Recently I saw on your Instagram story a bucket list with I think 10 things, 10 things you want to do. It was funny because it was written on toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I remember make a feature film, visit Japan, write a book, be on the Off the Pill podcast. So
yes.
This is not Of the Pill podcast, but
no,
you can see this as a rehearsal.
I'm so happy.
So this is a question I ask every guest, which is your distance from your destination? Meaning, what is your dream and how far do you think you are from getting there? So which of the things in your bucket list is the first one? Which is your dream?
Now, the first thing on my bucket list, which I consider like the number one priority, is to make a feature film. But at the same time, I also know that I'm not ready yet for that. I know that before I ever attempt to write a feature film, I need to write so many short films and try making so many short films before I attempt to go to something so big. And so even though it's the most important, it's not something I can work on now. So right now, what I want to do is short films and focus on growing my YouTube channel. I guess in this exact moment, my current distance to destination would be getting my YouTube videos out there and having them grow, having more people enjoy them and take some value from them.
Okay, awesome. So how far do you think, from a scale to 0 to 10, how far do you think you are from getting there?
I have no idea because if we're talking about the feature film thing, I can imagine that because there are certain steps I can take. But if we're talking about YouTube, there's no way I can tell.
Yeah, for the big goal. getting a
Oh,
feature
the big
film?
goal. Okay.
How many steps far away you are?
Right now, in my mind, I have this plan for the next like 6, 7 years, but I know that it might not happen because, life doesn't always allow
Yeah.
you to do things exactly as you want. So if this didn't go as planned, I'm fine with it. I know that eventually I'll find a way. But for right now, what I'm thinking is after graduating from my current university, I have 1.5 years left. I'm thinking of doing 1 year of like freelance work, doing freelance video, freelance filming, editing, and so on. I'd like to use this 1 year of freelance work to collect some money, and with that money, do a master's in France at a university for like screenwriting, which is like writing a feature film. And I think that when you do this master's, they help you write like the script for a feature film. So I can use that to film my feature film, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And the reason why I chose this specific university is because I've read this thing once about like this guy who he had an inspiration, like someone inspired him. And so he tried to learn everything that this person who inspired him learned. And so he went back and saw who inspired the person who inspired him, and so on and so on. Like he just went back and back. And what I did is that I opened up and I wouldn't say I stalked. I would say like I searched my film teacher on Google, and I saw where he learned what he learned, and it was that university. So I'm like, I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah, I like that thinking, that way of thinking, because I think it will work for you to do this, to learn from how the other person learned.
Yes.
So which is that person that inspired you?
I wouldn't exactly call him an inspiration. It's more that he was my teacher back in Jordan. He taught me the subjects of filmmaking, and he's the one who taught me like the very basic guidelines to writing a short film. And I find his method really interesting because every time I search online, I never find his method. But when I watch a film, I can see that method being used. And so it's interesting that you rarely find people talking about this method. Even in other film schools, not all of them teach this way of thinking, but it's there in nearly every single good film. So I thought that was unique, and I really wanted to know more about this. And it's also the same method used by this filmmaker, or I'm not sure, is he a filmmaker or a writer? His name is Robert McKee, and he has this book called Story, and he explains a similar kind of method, but more in depth and detail in that book. And it's a really good book to learn from, but the thing with learning from books is that you can't ask the book any questions. And so that's why I prefer learning from someone right there, a person.
Awesome. Can you tell us which is that method?
The thing is, I don't think it has a name, but it's basically just a bunch of guidelines. It's I wouldn't call them rules because there's no rules in writing and in creativity, but there's these guidelines that if you use them, they can enhance the way your story is. And one example of that is, for example, a character throughout the film should discover not what they want, but what they need. And so let's say you have your protagonist, and your protagonist this whole time is going after what they desire, what they want. And it's only towards the end of the film that they find out what's important to them. It's what they need and not what they want. So that's one example of a guideline or a rule that can be used and that can be applied to a story. And if you see nearly most movies, you see this happening with the main character. You see that happening, them finding out what they really need in their life.
Yeah, because I guess that if they immediately find what they want, it's gonna be a boring movie.
That's true.
Gonna be so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like more like guidelines for the story, like how to tell a
Yes,
story.
and yes, and it's like um, I think that this guy who wrote the book, Robert McKee, I think he says is that basically I'm not sure if I'm just paraphrasing here. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
exactly how he said it because maybe I don't remember it right. But what I understood is that he's saying that um, films don't really have like you can't give them a format or something like you can't have like oh this is the box and then build the film in it because then all films would be like each other. They would just be
Yeah.
similar
Mm-hmm.
things like each other.
Totally.
But what he says is that it's basically this is a structure. You can use it. These are guidelines. You can use them. You can use them to your favor. And the main guideline that I've learned from my own teacher is that always use the words what if and then but. If you just use the
Mm.
words what if and no but, that's not a story.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
there's no obstacle
There's
or
no,
no
yeah,
problem,
exactly.
there is no story. There needs
Mm.
to be but or although, however, those
Mm-hmm.
words that really change something for the character.
Yes, yes. Like I want to do this, but this happened.
Yes.
I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
awesome. Find this really cool. So back to your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting things that you do really good is storytelling.
Thank
And
you.
you also do it in a very fun way. So it's really easy to watch the whole video. Can you tell us a little bit about your YouTube?
My YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for the compliment. That makes me really happy. Um, I, uh, I mean, for a really long time, I just sort of did whatever on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like when I said I had different channels, I also had different kinds of videos on my channel that I use now. At
Mm-hmm.
some point, I was like doing book reviews, I was doing vlogs, I was doing, I don't know, I did so many weird things that have nothing to do with what I do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, it just hit me. It was really like this one night, I thought, I mean, if I want to take this seriously, I need to pick one thing. I
Mm-hmm.
need to focus on it, or else I will never gather an audience with like similar interests. Because
Yeah.
if I'm so blah, then no one would really
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on what I'm doing. So I thought, what do I want to do? And at the time, I thought I would like to do comedy sketches because
Mm-hmm.
at least with comedy sketches, I can still insert some of my own interests into the comedy sketch, and I can also tell a story, which I love doing. And slowly, as I was doing these comedy sketches, as I was doing them, they started turning into something else a bit. I started thinking of ways to make my videos more like my own style. And eventually, they turned into more of these. I don't know how to describe them, but it's basically me talking about a topic that interests me or bothers me or annoys me. It can be anything. But then as I'm talking in this voiceover, I have these acting parts over it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have told me that, oh, your style looks like, Elle Mills. Do you know Elle Mills'
No.
videos?
No.
Elle Mills is a YouTuber who does these really big planned events, or like let's say for example she did a video where she was like I invited all of my brother's ex-girlfriends to the house or something like that. Like she
Okay.
does these big crazy things and she edits it in a really fun storytelling type of way, and she's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people have told me, oh, your videos are kind of like Elle Mills. And that's a really nice compliment. But at the same time, I don't agree with them. I don't feel like my videos are like her at all. Even though I can understand where these people are coming from, I think they mean like this, maybe the music, the style of edit. But I actually did not know Elle Mills until later on.
Mm-hmm.
And the YouTubers that I really did sort of take my inspiration from are animation channels.
Okay.
Because what they do is the same thing as what I do, except with animation. They have voiceover and then they have these acting parts over it. And I was so inspired by what they did, but at the same time, I knew that I didn't like animation and I wouldn't want to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, how can I do what they do without really animating?
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
basically, my videos are like that. They're like animation channel videos, but real life version,
Cool.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find this to be a very cool way of thinking, to find inspiration from something completely different from what you're doing,
Mhm.
maybe, and apply it to your style, to what you're doing. Also, I like that you actually experiment in the beginning. You tried a lot of things and different videos, and at some point along the way, you find what you really wanted to do, and you worked around that needs. So also about your YouTube channel, I have seen that you have a lot of subscribers, almost 5K. And I know that you went viral at some point. Can you tell us about the story?
Oh, well, basically, my 15-year-old or 14-year-old self made a video about a Pokemon card dispenser. It was basically a toy where you put Pokemon cards in there and then you just press something and they go back up.
Okay.
And because I was doing so many random videos, that was one of the videos I uploaded, forgot about it. 2 years later, and it has so many views, so many comments, so many hate comments, so many people angry because apparently my Pokemon cards are fake. And a lot of people making fun of me because I said trousers instead of pants. And just so many hate comments and so many angry people. But at the same time, so many new subscribers. So most of these subscribers, I would say about 3,000 of these 4,000 are just from that one video.
Okay.
And the sad part is that they are not interested in my new content. I never see any of those new subscribers on my new content, especially when they were subscribing at that time. They just weren't watching the new stuff. And I guess that's because probably most of them were like 10-year-olds who were just interested in Pokemon. And if I had more Pokemon videos at the time, maybe they might have been interested in my content. But I wasn't interested in making that kind of videos, and they just hung around as subscribers, not really doing anything.
Yeah, that's the thing about getting viral with a random video.
Yeah, and if you're not doing that kind of content, all these subscribers, they're not really going to watch anything else you make. And
they're actually hurting your channel.
Yeah. A lot of people think that in order to make it on YouTube, though, the thing you need to do is go viral. But if you go viral with any kind of video, any kind of topic, most people might not stick around if that's not the kind of topic you're always doing, unless for some like magical reason your personality is really like charming and they like that and are watching you for that, then maybe. But I wasn't that charming talking about the Pokemon card dispenser with my fake cards. I was really annoying. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes we have that idea that we think that this is the correct way, but in the end, it's hurting us more because it's just number in the end.
It is. It's just a number in the end. And if this number isn't participating, it's just there.
For me, for example, in my videos, I really like to see engaging comments. Like maybe a video has a lot of views, but if the other video that has half of those views has 2 or 3 good comments, I really want to do more videos like this one, to have people to... I think this is the way I also met you, through a comment. Really? Yeah, I think that you write... Yes, probably. I think that you have write a really big comment, and I was like, what? Because normally everyone was like, cool video, nice. And you wrote a really big comment. I was like, I need to talk to that person because,
Okay. That's funny. I do like talking a lot.
So I know that you're also addicted on buying and reading books from one of your videos. Do you also write?
I do. I used to. I kind of do. For a long time before I really got into filmmaking, what I did was write stories, and I tried to go into competitions and stuff like that. I wasn't very successful, but I enjoyed it a lot. And one of my dreams is to publish or at least write a book, a novel, a fiction story.
Awesome.
And at some point when I was going to graduate school and I had to decide what I wanted to study, I was like, do I want filmmaking or writing? And for a long time that was like, what do I do? I was so torn and so like, I don't want to choose one and leave the other. What do I do? And then it just sort of hit me. It's really stupid, but also really smart. I could just very simply write films. So, I mean, I have both of them together in one thing, and I can still practice both of them. So it was as simple as that. If I like writing, if I like films, write films. And so that's what I'm currently trying to do. But I also still have this dream in the back of my mind that I would still like to write a book, because books mean a lot to me. I feel like they are, even though I love filmmaking, but books are closer to my heart than films. And I would love to make that dream come true in the years to come.
Awesome. When you finish your first book, maybe it will be the book that you will turn into a feature film. I don't know.
Maybe I can adapt my own book into a film.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Cool. So I think that you have filmed your first short film very young, like 19 years old.
Yes.
Are you planning to do the second one?
Yeah, I actually already filmed a second one this past summer.
Okay.
And right now I'm in the post-production phase, which is like the editing. And I'm having a hard time with that, but hopefully I can make it before the deadline. I don't want to mess this up. It was an opportunity and I really don't want it to turn out bad.
When is the deadline?
I'm not sure, but it is in January. And I'm really worried that with like my school projects and with these, with this like Christmas break and like all the, I'm just worried that I won't make it, but hopefully I will. And hopefully it won't turn out, I don't know how you say it, but you know, when you do something too quick, so it's not as good as
in a rush to just finish it.
Yes, yeah. So
I see.
I really hope it. I mean, I did have a lot of time earlier. I had months to finish it. It just was really hard to put together. And I mean, even though this is my second film, it's my first time doing this really almost completely alone. It's just me and my friend. We were co-directors, and we're mostly in charge of how it turns out. While as before, it was part of a class and we had a teacher who supervised everything and helped us every step of the way and told us what is best for us, you know? This time there was no such figure for us to help direct us in the correct way, and that was the hardest part about it, is that we were just like lost in this space of
you have the full freedom, so you're not sure where to go. And you have the whole responsibility now.
It's a responsibility, exactly. And it's a bit scary because especially when the first film was so well received, like we got so many praise for it, like, oh, it's so good and stuff like that.
Did you also get an award, I think?
Yeah, we got this award in the Franco-Arab Film Festival, which is a collaboration between like the French and Jordanian people. I don't know. It's we got the award for that, and so because there was so many like well-received stuff on that film, I'm worried like my second film is gonna be like
You want to have people, you think that people will have the same expectation to get even so better. I get that.
But the worrisome thing is that now I'm worried, I'm doubting myself as a filmmaker, because in the first film I had this teacher who was always like over it as a whole. So now I'm worried like that success was mine. It was because I had this teacher, because I had classmates who were forced to also work on this project, because I mean, we're a part of a class. We need to get our credits. We need to get a good grade. But this time it was like, and it was just I don't know how to explain it, but it's scary because now I know that if this messes up, this is me, not the first film, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, yeah, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself. I get it, because probably it will be the same way. So the teacher was taking all the decisions in the first one, or you had also the freedom?
Um, he wasn't exactly taking the decisions. Now basically what we did in class is that at the beginning of the semester, everyone had to come up with the idea for a story.
Mm-hmm.
And we in the end we voted for two, and we split up in two groups to create these two films.
Okay.
And my story was one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So this one story, its main idea was my idea, but a lot of the small elements that were in it were encouraged by my teacher. So he would read what we had so far, and he would be like, this point here, that doesn't work. Think of something else, you know?
Okay.
And so when I was writing my new film, I did not know which point I needed to rethink or how. He never told me what to do, but he was always like, this right here, this does not work. It just doesn't. Think of something else. And I would keep on thinking until he's like, yeah, that's fine.
I see.
In this new film, I would be like, I don't know how to correct myself. I don't know where the cliche parts are, or where the really weak parts are. And I did have like a kind of supervisor. I had someone who supervised the story, but she wasn't as involved as when like you're in a teacher and a classroom and you see each other nearly every day and you talk nearly every day. This other supervisor, she was really good and really nice, and she really encouraged me and helped me. But I had seeked out her help, and she's really busy, and she can only offer me like one or two, or how many, like 3 sessions where we talked about it through email, and then the last session we met face to face for the first time. So it's not as involved as like when you have this whole semester with a teacher you're seeing nearly every day, and he's really into it.
I see.
You know?
And also, I think that what he did is more from experience, because he had the experience to see those things and know that it will not work when you don't, because you don't already have the experience. So you will probably learn this along the way. The more short films that you will do, I think that you will understand it more. And even if you make a mistake on this one, and you realize it later, I think it will help you on the third one, and the fourth one.
I hope so, really. And I really hope that by making this film without that much supervision, then I can finally say, oh, this is purely all my mistakes. Because with my first film, I'm proud of it, but I can't feel like I can say like, oh, this is purely my...
definitely.
It's not purely mine, if that makes any sense.
Even now, if the second teacher helps you that much on the second film, it's gonna be again the same thing. And sometimes we need to make mistakes in order to learn, because if every time someone else telling you that this is not correct, you will never really learn it, because you will expect from someone else to tell you.
That's true.
So I think it's a good thing.
It is. It's just a bit scary because they happened in this order.
Also, I would like to ask you, which is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear.
Yeah.
It depends. Do you mean like in regular life or with my work?
Whatever. Oh no, yeah. General, your biggest fear.
I mean, I'm sure that in my in my subconscious I know it, but I've buried it really, really deep. So I really need to. I mean, one of my fears is going back to the person I was before I gained the confidence that I have right now.
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
At some point, I found it really hard to talk to other people, and I found it really hard to raise my voice. And I guess a part of me a part of me is afraid that I would go back to being that. But then another part of me knows that that's just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the irrational part
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
still
Like
like,
you're scared to be again that person that was
yeah,
afraid to
yeah,
talk.
yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Hmm.
How did you
And
get over it?
get
Over
over what?
the fear of talking to other people and raise your voice?
It was a mixture between different things, and I'm not gonna take all the credit because it wasn't all me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mixture between my environment changed, so it was easier to change who I am
Mm-hmm.
a bit. It's like, you know, when you're in school, and like every day you come in with the same appearance. It's really hard to come in one day with a different appearance because everyone will have an opinion and everyone will, like, all the attention will be on
Oh,
you,
yeah,
you
I
know?
see. Like
So
you're
when you're in
different
the same
now. Yeah.
environment all the time, and you're always doing the same thing, doing something different will get so much
Mm,
attention.
okay.
So if your environment changes, like let's say you go to a different school or you go to college or you go to a different work,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to go as something a bit different because no one really knows how you were before.
Yeah, I see.
And sometimes I'm also afraid, like, am I faking it? Is this like a fake me? But then when I think about it, this is who I was all the time with my family. I was just too afraid to be this with other people
Yeah.
outside of my family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now that it's becoming a bit easier, it's 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 nice. It's really nice, and
Cool.
it needs a lot of it actually needs a lot of practice. You need to make
Yeah.
yourself
Mm-hmm.
say things to people. Sometimes you need to be like, today I'm gonna say good morning to everyone, or like today
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna talk to this person and I'm gonna ask them how their day is going, and so on. You kind of need to force yourself at first before it becomes easier.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I am like
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't really share my feelings and my thoughts
Mm-hmm.
so much, even with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I found out that YouTube definitely helped me because
It does.
now I share more things with even strangers that I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do before. So,
Mm.
yeah, definitely practice doing it more and more.
Yeah,
It helps.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think you're right. I think YouTube was also a reason, like one of the reasons why I was able to do it as well, because I
Hmm.
was doing YouTube at the time, and I think it helped me too, because YouTube was one of the places where I could just be like blah 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 about this and that,
Yeah.
talked about whatever I wanted. Yeah,
So, what was the biggest struggle on the first film you
the
faced?
first film.
Yeah.
Hmm. Definitely the writing process,
Hmm.
um, especially with such a strict teacher, and he was really honest and blunt about his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
He never he would never tell you something is nice if it isn't,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing actually.
Hmm.
I don't really like it when teachers just tell you you're doing a good work,
Yeah.
and 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 just don't help you improve. And I also don't like it when teachers tell you something is bad without telling you how to
Yeah.
improve.
Yeah. Exactly.
This one teacher, he was really honest and maybe sometimes even mean, but at least he gave you something to work with
Mm-hmm.
when you were doing something that just wasn't working. So the writing process was really hard. It took so much time to think and so much time to develop. And what else was hard? Um, I mean, I guess that's it. That it's the writing process. It took so much effort.
But your story got to choose to be the one in the film, so I guess that you're
Yeah,
good
I
at
was
writing.
so excited about that. Really
Yeah.
excited. But even at the point where we voted on the stories weren't complete yet. So
Mm-hmm.
even after that,
You
I
needed
still
to
had to
work
work
more.
some
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the biggest thing that I learned during that time is that your idea never stops developing until the entire project is done.
Hmm.
Sometimes we think that just because there's the, like, let's say, um, the brainstorming process and then the doing process, that does not mean that the developing stops.
Yeah. Did you
Like, just
change?
because. Hmm?
Did you change things the moment you were shooting?
No, no, no. We didn't do that because that's also another important thing that I learned. It's that you kind of need to plan everything before the shoot, or else you'll just be
Yeah.
really in trouble.
I
Because
saw
it's just
I saw a video with the backstage when
yeah.
you're filming, and I saw that you were filming the things with a DSLR, for example, and then you went and really film it. So you already had the scenes and everything ready.
Yes, yes. And that's important because also another thing I learned is that during the shooting days, especially if you don't have equipment and you have to rent it, pay money for it, you have a very limited amount of time. Like, let's say we only rented it for 48 hours. That's only 2 days that we have to work with them.
It gets expensive.
It gets expensive. And if you're thinking about doing something or you didn't plan something, you're wasting even more time on set. And when you're so stressed, you don't really think straight, you know? You can't be creative exactly. So everything needs to be planned and done and finished before the filming. But as for the writing development, what I meant is that even when you're out there casting the actors, that does not mean that the writing stops. Even when you have this actor and he's there, the writing can continue, and this actor can even inspire a new idea.
And change a little bit. And maybe you need to change the script because of that specific person and personality. So I understand that you have in your mind the steps you need to do to get to your goal. And I like this because it's like you have a plan. What difficulties you are facing right now in order to get there?
The thing is, even though I have a plan, I know that it's not guaranteed 100%. Even though I know that, yes, maybe I can go to this like prestigious university, maybe I can learn from it, but that does not guarantee that I will actually be able to write this feature film that I want to write just because I did that. Even if I did all of these things, I still might not be able to write that, and figuring that out, how I will be able to write the story and the hardships that comes with that, that's the hard part, and that's what I need to figure out once I'm doing that. And I know that it might take even longer than I expect. I might need to write for years and years. I might not find the money in time. I might not even learn what I wanted to learn, or even if I learn it, it might not give me what I was hoping it would give me. So even though there's a plan, it's just not 100% guaranteed. And I'm okay with that because as long as I'm still practicing my creativity in one way or another, whether it's through YouTube or through writing short stories or something, I'd still be happy, and I know I'd be trying and going on my way to the destination.
Cool. But definitely you have the right mentality, because you're not just going blindfolded towards your goal. You have in mind what you need to do, and I really like to do this, to break down my big goal to smaller ones, so it's easier to get there. So instance, if you want to do a feature film, you need to write it. So you need to write a good story. So maybe if you write 10 smaller good stories, you can write that big one. So or even you mentioned that you need a specific amount of money to go to that to do your master in France. So even this, it's, if you know exactly how much you need, then you know that I need to gather that much money to get there. It's not like an idea, I need to have money to go there. It's like, this is the exact amount that I need. So it's easier in your mind to process it and to know that I need to do this, this, and this. And it's also easier because if you have a really big goal, it's like, I don't know if I can do this. But if you break it down to 10 smaller goals, it's like, maybe this is doable now. I can do those 10 things.
That's true. If you like think of your big goal and then try to walk backwards from that, work backwards and see what does it need? What does it really need? And then, like you said, break them into these smaller steps, then you can just achieve them step by step. And even your mentality will feel better because every time you achieve one step, it feels like really closer to that goal. And if there's no steps, it just feels like you're walking around there
Yeah.
and in a desert, and you have no idea when you're going to reach the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
civilization.
Maybe maybe you're doing process, but you don't know it. So it's like
Yeah,
you're not sure how and when you'll get there. So yes.
yeah,
So you want to get to that specific school because your teacher was there, and you mentioned in the
yes,
beginning that you're trying to um, understand what your teacher had learned and from where, and to do the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So for example, like remember when I was talking about how in the first film, he would point out where the wrong things are, and he would just have this. It's like he has this big library in his mind of what has been overused and what is unique or new, and this sort of like immediate understanding of what feels weak and what feels strong, and I thought that perhaps maybe he learned that from the place where he learned how to make films.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm hoping that they could give me what they gave him. And I know probably they're not the only place that gave him that. I'm sure that he spent so much time watching films on his own and analyzing them. But I'm hoping that taking that step too will be like a step forward for me.
Yeah. So it's kind of your like a mentor for you, that
I
person.
guess. I mean, sometimes, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call him an inspiration in life, not that way, never, but but an inspiration in filmmaking, in writing stories, then definitely yes, 100%. He is the first person, and so far the only person I've met who I'm really interested in his way of thinking about stories and writing them. Most other the people I've met, they don't seem to go that in depth and into the kind of thing that I like, which is, I don't know how to call it, but which is not very Hollywood-like.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more European, or
Yes.
like
No, I mean the style that I want to go for is not very Hollywood-like. But then most of the people that are into the filmmaking process and the story writing that I've seen or met, they're into that. And this teacher is the only one I've met who's working on the other kind of style, you know. And I'm really interested in that. And there's just not that many people, or as many people who are interested in dabbling in that kind of style, the, I don't know, independent style, or the, I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's just different from the movies that we see in the cinema. If
yeah, I see. Any other person that inspired you?
A person who inspired me. There is someone who inspires me, but I've never met this person personally. His name is Stephen McCrane, I think, is maybe. I'm not 100% sure because I've only read his name and I've never heard it, so I'm not sure if I say it correctly. So Stephen McCrane is a comic book writer and illustrator, and he did this comic called Space Boy on Webtoon, and it's definitely my favorite comic. Such a beautiful story, really, really, really beautiful art. And he really inspires me because not only is the story just so, how do I explain this? It's a really good story. It's a really good story. And recently he released another comic that's called The Art of Being an Artist, where he gives these tips on going towards your goals as a creative person. He talks about his own personal experience as an artist, but it can also be applied if you're any kind of creative. And the things he says and the wisdom he gives, it's really interesting, and there's a lot to learn from him. He's just a great guy. He always responds to his fans. He always shows like fan artwork. He's just overall really nice and really interesting.
Cool. Awesome.
Can we talk about you?
Yeah, if you want to ask anything, yeah,
Sure.
it's
All
good.
right. What is your biggest fear in life?
I would say public speaking.
Mm, I agree. I actually agree. Yeah. Mhm.
Because yeah, I don't know if many people have this. I think, but I don't have fears like usual fears like
Mhm.
heights or I don't know spiders or something like this. I love skydiving. I love extreme things. So I don't
Mhm.
know, but I have other kind of fears like
Mhm.
public speaking. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to get there. Actually, I want to face that fear at some point.
Mhm.
So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
So now you're studying in Germany. Uh,
Yes.
what's the difference between being in Germany and Jordan?
Oh, there's a lot of differences. The first one is that there's not much traffic. There's so much traffic in Jordan.
Oh, okay.
And over here, going from place to place is just really easier, so much
Mm-hmm.
nicer. You can ride the transportation easily, which is not something you can easily do in Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is my favorite thing about Germany is how easy it is to move.
Mm-hmm.
However, food is much better in Jordan, much, much
Okay.
better.
So we are closer to the end
Ah,
where people can't find you.
people can find me on my YouTube channel, Bark Norzed, link in the description.
Yeah.
And you can also find me on Instagram. I think that's the most social media that I am interested in.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it.
Cool. Do you have a website?
A website, I have a portfolio, but it isn't exactly a website. It's just more of a showcase of some of my work outside of YouTube.
Okay.
So there's my portfolio. It's I don't know the link, but
I will have the
my
link. Don't worry.
yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And what else? I do have a Twitter, but I'm not really active on there. If you'd like to send me something, then Instagram or YouTube is the place to
Okay.
do that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. One more thing that I will do with every guest is ask them 3 fast random questions. You can
Oh,
answer
okay.
fast or you can explain later more about it.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
First one. Which is the book that everyone should read?
Okay, a book that everyone should read. I don't have all my books here, but the thing is, every book it's coming to my mind, I feel like not everyone would be interested in.
Maybe the one that inspired you or changed your life in a way?
Oh, I'm taking so much time thinking about this. I feel like I need to choose like the right book.
Okay, choose
Book
3.
what?
Choose 3. The first 3 that pops in your mind.
Three that pop in my mind. Sophie's World, The Little Prince. Um, A Little Life.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't know the first and third one, but I know the second
Yeah.
one. It was one of my favorites when I was a kid.
The Little Prince.
Yeah. And
I love it. Mhm.
and I had it in France, so yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really popular over there.
Yeah. So the first one, which I don't
Sophie's
know.
World.
Yeah. I don't know what this is.
It's a very simple introduction to philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
but framed in a fiction's novel or story. So it's basically if you want to get interested in philosophy and you're not that into it, you can read this book, and it's like this very simple introduction in the history of
Hmm.
philosophy, but in the way of a story. So basically, this
Okay.
girl, she keeps getting letters, and these letters have lessons in them, but also things are happening in the girl's life.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting read for someone who wants to
Okay.
get
It's
into that kind
yeah,
of thing.
it's easier to start.
Yeah.
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 Okay, cool. The second question is one random thing about you that you're good at. It don't need to be about work or writing or something like that. A random thing that you're very good at.
A random thing that I'm good at. The hockey table.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that thing.
Yeah, me too.
Air hockey, yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, I wanted to buy one.
Really?
Yeah.
And same with who?
With everyone that comes in my
Okay.
house. And I
Your
wanted to
visitors.
build it actually to be a table. So it will have a wooden cover. So you can have it like a dinner table, but you can remove it and play. So
And then you can be like,
I maybe
let's
should
have
do this.
dessert.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever get a hockey table, you should have a section in your podcast where you're like, now we play hockey and answer questions.
Oh, that will be cool.
Yeah, like ching ching.
Yeah, I will do the fast questions there, and they need to answer when they're playing.
Yeah,
Like,
you have to answer it
oh,
before
that's
you
so
get a goal
cool.
in.
That's a very cool idea. Cool. And the third one, which is your favorite movie?
I have so many favorite movies for every category. Can I say them all?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like Roma.
Mm-hmm.
I like Son of Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
I like The Joker,
Mm-hmm.
the new one.
Yeah.
I have a list actually. I have a list that's called Film Collection, and then I have sub lists in it, which are like The Life of Others.
Mm-hmm.
Amor is really good. Yeah, those are my favorite films.
Awesome. Cool. So thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for bringing me on your podcast.
Happy to have you here. Awesome. Thank you for being with us until the end. I'll see you in the next one.